Good evening, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. The time is 5:15. Welcome, everybody. We are going to get started. Welcome to everybody, both in person and watching via YouTube live stream. I'd like to call our board meeting of 2023, January 10th, to order at 5:15 p.m. To make a public comment, community members may request to speak on agenda items during the meeting by completing a request to speak card, which I think might be back there, but either way, they'll be turned in over at this table if you would like to complete one. We'll begin with our tribute today. In partnership with tribes who called Phoenix their home first, we acknowledge and respect the land our schools are built on. We commit to being a strong partner with any and all tribal nations who entrust their children to our schools. We are grateful and honored to be partners. With that, I think we'll go to roll call.
Here.
Here. Thank you very much. With the quorum present, we are going to proceed. May we please have the Pledge of Allegiance from Dr. Rob Allen, please? Thank you. Thank you very much. With that, we will move on to our adoption of the agenda. Dr. Davila Hagigat, do we have any recommendations for our agenda this evening?
Yes, our recommendation is that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion?
Jessica Bueno, so moved.
Reggie Carrillo, second.
Thank you both very much. May we please have a roll call, Ms. Kim?
Ms. Bueno,
Yes.
Mr. Carrillo,
Yes.
Dr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Aye. Thank you very much. With that, our motion does pass and we will adopt our agenda as presented. Moving on, we will begin this year taking nominations and electing our governing board president and vice president officer roles. Do we have any nominations?
I would like to nominate Ms. Carmen Trujillo for president of Phoenix Elementary School District for the calendar year 2023.
Do we have any other nominations? I do accept the nomination.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second.
So do we have a motion already? Because you
I
did the
nominated.
Okay,
I second the nomination.
with that, our nomination will proceed. May we have a roll call vote, Ms. Kim?
Point of clarification, please. It does say the board president and vice president, and the motion is for the two offices, not just one office.
I thought they were going to be separate. My apologies. I would like to nominate Ms. Bueno as vice president for the calendar 2023 year as well.
I second the nomination of Vice President Jessica Bueno.
And I accept. Yay.
May we proceed, Ms. Kim? Thank you very much. Hearing no further nominations, may we please have a roll call vote for this item?
Again, point of clarification, I need first and a second, a motion and a second for the entire slate. So we'll have, there was a little confusion. So I have the nomination.
We have our counsel, Mr. Chris Thomas coming over for clarification. Thank you.
Madam President, members, I believe, that you have to take each vote separately for each office. Certainly you can enter all the names in for nominations so that you have a full slate of nominees. But then when you go to vote for president and then vote for vice president. It's two separate.
Thank you, and I have added another motion, so we can take each vote separately. So let's start with president. And could, I please have you repeat to me the, not the motion.
I motion that Ms. Carmen Trujillo be president for the 2023 calendar year.
Alicia Vinca, second the motion.
Ms. Bueno,
Aye.
Mr. Carrillo,
Aye.
Dr. Beatty,
Aye.
Ms. Trujillo.
Aye.
Now for vice president. Once again, could I please have a repeat, make a motion
No, so you've made the motion.
for vice president?
Yes, I will. I'd like to nominate Ms. Jessica Bueno as our vice president for this calendar year.
And I second that nomination.
Ms. Bueno,
Aye.
Mr. Carrillo,
Aye.
Dr. Beatty,
Aye.
Ms. Trujillo.
Aye. Thank you all very much. That's- I apologize for the awkward silence. It's always just getting used to a different new school year starting. So I apologize, but thank you all for being here and thank you, team, for making that as fluid and less painless as possible. So we can get moving forward on our focus on our kids. And with that, we'll move forward to item A6, our awards, recognitions, and announcements.
I think I'm first,
you are.
but can I just thank President Trujillo and Vice President Bueno for their willingness to take these roles for another year and to continue to lead us first. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, first. Congratulations to Emerson School for being named a 2022 Outstanding School Committed to Environmental Education by the Arizona Association for Environmental Education. This award honors 6 individuals and 6 organizations who have made significant impacts and contributions to the environmental education field through innovative and inspiring practices. Emerson was recognized for leveraging community partnerships to provide meaningful, hands-on environmental educational learning opportunities to its students. In addition, Emerson mobilized a variety of partners to plant 100 trees and plants in celebration of its 100-year anniversary, while incorporating shade to mitigate heat on campus to provide more outdoor learning opportunities.
Yay.
Thank you, Dr. Vink. Our next one is that the Arizona Cardinals made surprise visits to Herrera and Bethune schools. They visited every classroom and presented each of the schools with $2,000 worth in gift cards, thanks to a community partnership with Safeway. We appreciate the support of the Arizona Cardinals and Safeway.
Kenilworth has 2 events to celebrate. First, students marched in the APS Electric Light Parade. Each year, the school partners with the Kiwanis Club to design a flow and lighted costumes. The costumes celebrated the cultures of families to celebrate unity during the holiday season. A special thanks to teacher Ms. Blaine and the Kiwanis Club for making this opportunity possible for our students for the last 10 years. And second, kindergartners from Kenilworth attended the Nutcracker Ballet, and the students dressed in their formal attire to get the full experience of attending a ballet. Wow.
Another special thanks to Herrera Elementary School for just being hospitable to partnerships opening their doors to partnerships, and special thanks to our leaders at Herrera for partnering with Trees Matter. We had brought that forward to them and they graciously accepted, and just with open arms. So let's do this. Let's provide more shading, more tree quality. As you know, in South Phoenix, where we lack tree quality, that is something that our community needs, shading, and to lower our temperatures in our community. And special thanks to volunteers from APS for donating and planting 30 trees on the Herrera school campus. Students participated in planting that will help beautify the campus and provide shade for years to come.
Yay.
Phoenix #1 appreciates our families partnering with our schools, and our sites regularly host family engagement opportunities. In December, Faith North had 160 people attend a movie night. They served hot dogs and popcorn, and families enjoyed the movie Ice Age.
Oh, cute.
Thank you all very much. With that, we will move on to our superintendent's report with Dr. Davila Hagigat.
Thank you. I have several great things to share with you, but first I want to congratulate President Trujillo and Vice President Bueno. Thank you again for a second term. Look forward to collaborating and working closely with you so that we can continue to support our students and our community. Thank you. Also, thank you to our MIS team for setting us up in such a nice space as our boardroom is getting some of its own IT enhancement. So thank you for that as well. I'd like to welcome our newest member of our team, Ms. Xochitl Valencia, if you can wave. She is the executive assistant to the superintendent and governing board. Welcome to the Phoenix #1 family. Please give her a nice round of applause. Tonight, as part of my superintendent's report, I am so excited to introduce some of our students from Lowell Elementary School who recently participated in a youth in government legislative experience that culminated in a 3-day conference at the state capitol. I'd like to introduce our Lowell principal, Ms. Claire Autry, and her students to provide a brief presentation on their conference experience. Welcome, Ms. Autry.
Inviting us, thank you, board and cabinet, and parents and community. We really appreciate being here tonight. I am proud to have several of our students from Lowell who will be speaking in just a moment. As was mentioned, we were able to take part in a community partnership with the YMCA the first semester of the school year and participate in a civic youth and government program. And so all of our 6th through 8th grade students had the opportunity to participate. And as a culminating project, our students had the opportunity to participate in a 3-day field trip at the state capitol. 17 of our students and their families took that initiative to participate, and 12 of them graduated from the full 3-day program. So a few of those students are here tonight to talk a little bit about their experience. So with that, I will turn it over to Camila Torres, Valerie Vasquez will open it up.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here.
We are Valerie Vasquez, the youth and government. So the youth and government. The experience was very important. On your chairs, you can see the mobile newspaper we have built. To help students. Write this article, you have to do different hearings. You were checking for the article to be online and not in the newspaper. When you saw our article on paper, you were shocked and surprised. When we do this program next year, all of us.
Yay.
Thank you. They were a little humble, so I just have to shout out that Camilla and Valerie were 2 students who were selected for the media component of this conference. And all of the students, there were junior high through high school students, but they were part of the media program.
and they had an opportunity to observe, to just interview students in the conference. And they wrote an article, and their article was featured on the front page of the newspaper. So if you'll see that article about the middle school, that was written by Camilla and Valerie. And just like a real newspaper, different people submitted articles, and they decided what went to press. And so their article was featured on the front page.
Yay.
My bill was about a robot. Read, I think, related, to make the team. What I learned from youth and government was that the bills have to go through a lot, this to become a law. And
Thank you.
during the debate, I felt nervous, shy, and scared my bill wouldn't pass. When my bill passed, I felt accomplished and proud, and everyone was proud. And so as part of the semester-long program, students were actually researching the process for what it takes for a bill to become a law. They were picking an area that they were passionate about, and they were actually writing their own bill with hopes of having it included in the bill book and having it debated on the House floor by students who attended the conference. And there were 250 students who attended, so not everyone who had a bill made the bill book. But Nathan was one. We had another student, Darian, whose bill made the bill book. And Nathan, as you mentioned, his bill was actually passed through the process on the House floor, so he did a wonderful job.
Yay.
And Darian will Hi, JJ, thank you for friends. Hello, my name is Darian from the Low Delegation. This story was originally made by JJ, but he wasn't able to attend here today. The story I am sharing is about bonding and making friends. The first day of youth in government, I only hanged out with my delegation, not really being social with others. It wasn't until the morning of day 2 where I went up to this girl who I've seen but never talked to. There was I saying hello to a complete stranger, expecting the worst, and she ended up being the sweetest person ever. And now I feel like my friends and her friends, and we became inseparable.
Yay.
And finally, to wrap us up, and we will welcome Dariana and Julian. Hello, our name is Dariana Garcia. Julian afternoon. The Wooding YMCA trip was a great experience. We made this trip a great experience was that we learned the bill process by physically presenting bills to others and debating the pro and con statements. We learned a variety of things about the branches of government. In our opinion, a big thing that we learned was to talk professional amongst others. We recommend this fun virtual experience and enjoy meeting with people and getting along with others. Thank you for listening. We hope you will approve this program in more schools next year.
Yay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and what a great joy. Please give them another round of applause. And if you're a parent, a family member, a caring adult that's accompanied one of these students, will you wave for us? Just wave, and let's give you a round of applause. Thank you so much for that support. Another exciting event that we have is coming up on February 8th. You will notice on your calendar, board members, that you have now an invitation for reigniting our culture of hope and health. This is going to take place on February 8th at the Herrera School for the Performing Arts from 2:15 to 4:30. We're really excited because there are two areas that we believe that will continue to bring a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, and really that framework of us believing that all children are capable of success and us knowing that the wellness of every single one of our adults is a priority for us. So we look forward to seeing you at the event. The invitation is on your calendar. Congratulations also to Faith North Nationally Board Certified Preschool Teacher, Angela Eddington, Mara Carrasquillo, and Mava Drake Lavelle for recently receiving their National Board recertification. National Board certification is not easy to attain, and we are proud of these staff members for obtaining this honor. Do we have them with us today? If not, we're going to send them a lot of love. Let's give them a nice round of applause as well. We also have Kirsten Callison, first grade teacher at Herrera School, created a partnership with the Mayo Clinic, which brings math through medicine for students, where Mayo instructors come into the classroom for hands-on learning. Recently, Mayo partnered with the school to provide teachers with the training on how to provide care and, yes, stop the bleeding when faced with emergency situations. What you see there is dramatization. We do not want anyone to be concerned, and we are so grateful for our community partnership with the Mayo Clinic. Let's give them a round of applause of gratitude as well. I also had the opportunity to visit Garfield Garden, and you will see that they drew a lot of attention at the Farm Fresh stand in December. I am grateful that we also had board member President Trujillo and Vice President Bueno as part of this event. And they were having fresh eggs, decorations, loofahs. We learned a lot about loofahs and how they are mistaken by squash. Don't eat a loofah if you're thinking it's a squash. And it is so great that we are able to really provide these experiences for students, but also to invite our community to have the experiences of fresh vegetables and flowers and decorations. We also have exciting news to share with you. Ms. Jeffrey recently submitted a number of award applications for the Arizona School Public Relations Associations for 22-23 ASPRA awards, and Phoenix Elementary School District was selected to receive 3 awards. The ASPRA awards recognize standard of excellence in school public relations and demonstrate sound public relation principles, creativity, and commitment to improving communication. Ms. Jeffrey submitted our governing board for the category of governing board for contribution to public relations. And I am thrilled to inform you that Phoenix #1 was selected as the sole winner in this award category. Let's hear a nice round of applause for our board. And audience, this is a surprise to our board. We kept it nice and hush. This award honors an entire governing board for their commitment to good communication, support of school public relations, understanding of PR principles, leadership, and high ideals of professionalism. Congratulations on this very well-earned award. In addition, Ms. Jeffries and Ms. Ian LaRue will receive an award of excellence for Inside Phoenix #1 newsletter and an award of excellence for the 150th anniversary tour, our district historic sites map. The governing board and our marketing and communications team will be honored at the 2023 ASPRA Shun Award Luncheon on Wednesday, February 1st, 2023. That you did not see on the calendar because it would ruin the surprise. So it'll be there soon. Please give our board again and our communications department a well-deserved round of applause. Also, with the new year starting, we are excited to turn an eye to planning for the 23-24 school year. In doing so, compensation for us is always a priority. We want to make sure that our staff is competitively compensated for the amazing work that they do, especially in these challenging times. So step one of this process, you will see as part of our agenda today, is that we are recommending for the approval of the contracts and salary schedules for the 23-24 school year. This is just the first of many steps that we are going to continue to take as part of our collaboration through our meet and confer process. So with tonight's approval, you will get that process started for us, something that we're excited to be a part of. And of course, one of the most important parts of determining that compensation is that long-awaited current compensation analysis study that we're undergoing. And JB Reward System has begun this important work. They have been meeting with different groups, and we will continue to have focus groups with key groups of staff members. This includes also our teachers. And so we look forward to share more updates with you regarding our compensation study and how we move forward with that meet and confer. So with that, I know it was a lot, but it was really exciting. Thank you for giving me this time. And audience, thank you for your patience.
Bye, little babies.
Really quick before they leave, I want to give them another applause. They did amazing work.
Absolutely. It is a difficult process sometimes at the legislature. So we're glad that these seeds are planted early. Thank you so very much, Lowell leadership. What a surprise. What
Hopefully
a
we
treat.
see them there in the legislative.
Absolutely. Thank you all for being here.
Yeah.
Bye, little babies.
Electing them at 18. Okay. Wow. What a tough thing to follow. But I'm gonna try. We're up at our board reports next, and January is National School Board Member Recognition Month. So you've all got treats here. And I cannot tell you enough how grateful I am to serve alongside you all, to really have gotten to know you all as individuals and what values you hold and your vision for the district. And I'm always in awe of your guys' leadership. So I did have individual things to read here. But I know January is supposed to be a short, well, you know what? I'm just going to read them. So Ms. Bueno, thank you for your steadfast dedication to our community from a foot soldier to boardroom leadership perspective. Your willingness to get the community involved on multi-tiered levels, invest time in your network, dirty your shoes and your hands, get shoulder to shoulder with others is an example I'm very proud to work alongside and feel very supported through. Thank you for your confident and courageous leadership.
Thank you.
Dr. Vink. Oh, sorry. Dr. Vink, thank you for your advocacy and data-driven education experience. You always teach me something I hadn't considered before. It always aims to make others feel seen, heard, understood. I know you dedicate your time to understanding how our district you helped a lot during our pandemic approach. So I transposed my words in my sentence there, but the consistent, thorough sharing of your ideas and taking your time to really understand the situation helped lead us through that. And I'm just grateful to participate in this school board member journey with you. Let's see. The sentence I messed up was that I always appreciate your ideas of how to improve the district and decrease redundancy. They always trigger me into more creative ideas and perspectives. So thank you for your courageous and confident leadership and for entrusting your family's future with us by choosing Phoenix Elementary to serve you and your child. Mr. Carrillo, thank you for your genuine and very approachable male leadership on this mostly women-led board. Your support, ideas, and experience as a teacher in our urban neighborhoods is an asset, and I love learning from you in many areas, whether it be leadership, classroom data breakdowns or your new technological journey to advance tech in the classroom. Thank you as well for your confident and courageous leadership. For Miss Erica De La Rosa, she couldn't be here tonight. She had a death in her family. And I don't want to put her business out there, but I do want to definitely share that we are sorry for her loss. And we are we're looking very forward to working with her for the next 4 years. And I'm excited to experience her leadership and perspective as she's a parent in our district. And wanted to thank her as well for entrusting her family's future by choosing Phoenix Elementary for her children as well. Wanted to welcome everybody to a new year. And again, this district is our second home. I'm really grateful that community elected and appointed us all to lead together. Because I really, as I said before, I just value and appreciate your time. I did want to mention, I know last year we tragically lost some students. I won't attempt to imagine what that feels like as an educator or a student. I lost students in high school, so that still sits with me. Every year we do stuff to stay networked together, but we always make sure to appreciate those students that we lost, so that I can't imagine what that feels like, but I do want to send condolences to the families from the board and to those schools and classmates, because grief is a really real process and we experience it individually, but we can be supportive collectively. So please know our district is grateful to our school leadership and our social workers for being present for our families and our students during such a traumatic experience. Let's see. I also attended the ASBA conference last month and just wanted to share which workshops that we went through or that I did, was able to bring resources back on. I got to experience a STEM presentation from Gadsden Elementary, who was awarded the NSBA's Magna Award for that partnership in work. We heard from Alhambra Elementary School District and Vitalist Health Foundation on their model to build affordable housing for teachers, staff, and the community. I attended the Hispanic Native American caucus meeting at ASBA, where new leadership was elected, as well as ASBA got new leadership as well. I attended as the delegate for our board, and it was really a rewarding experience to participate in those votes. Let's see, we also had our very own principal, Mr. Lodato at Emerson, present on participatory budgeting alongside our students, where they decide how district dollars are spent in some areas. So shout out to Emerson. All in Education presented as well. And that we do have a partnership with them to increase our parent engagement. So that will be coming up, and its focus is to work on the environments and settings that foster respect and support and advocacy to redefine what school life can look like when parents are involved and acting in their commitment to our students' success. This Parent Educator Academy will be piloted at Garfield and Edison this year. So shout out to Garfield and Edison as well. Do we have any other board reports?
Yes, I just also wanted to recognize Ms. Trujillo. Thank you for your kind words and your leadership. We greatly appreciate all your sacrifice and everything you do for the board and the district. And I just wanted to acknowledge you. And just want to welcome students back to this school year. It's very exciting. I'm just I'm very excited that Dr. Hagiga is going to continue her second semester, so finish the school year. And that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you for those words, President Trujillo and Vice President Bueno. I just want to add to just with everything we've seen here is just a small example of all the work that we're doing. We want to continue to advocate for environmental equity, environmental education. So I'm glad I'm seeing Emerson getting acknowledged for that, but I know so many of our other school sites like Garfield, right, with the market, Faith North is really focused on environmental education to meet the ensuing crisis that we're inheriting and that our future generation, our students will inherit. And so it's important that we provide them these services, this education, these skills to be able to navigate us out of those crises. And then in addition, I want to add that thanks for President Trujillo and Vice President Bueno for continuing their leadership at our school district. I voted for them because they have really laid the foundation for us as new board members to be onboarded and be able to serve our district, attending conferences, continuing to provide us opportunities to get those professional development learning experiences so that we can continue to support our district. Their leadership has taken us through the pandemic, being onboarded, hiring a new superintendent, Dr. Hagigat, making sure that we have passed our bond election for this year so that we can continue to support the work that we're doing for our students to continue to achieve positive student outcomes when they step on our campuses here. And so just in the spirit of the new year, I just remain optimistic. Our state is entering into a more hospitable education era in Arizona with our new state leadership. And I hope that we see soon a future in which we're not ranking lowest in teacher pay and student funding. And so I'm optimistic for that. And so thank you for all the work that you all have done and will continue to do. And I'm excited for what the future holds for our students and for our district.
All right. Thank you guys again very much. With that, we will move on to item D1, our community communications. This is the time for the public to comment. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically on the agenda. Therefore, any action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing matters to our superintendent for further consideration and possibly decision at a later date. With that, I will call up the two
And we have some online.
community comments that we have here in person, and then we'll read the ones that we've got online. How many do we have today? 3. Okay. All right. Let's welcome Miss Nicole Goodwin, please.
Good evening, governing board members. Good evening, governing board members, President Trujillo, Dr. Hagigat, and cabinet members. My name is Nicole Goodwin, and I'm a proud teacher at Lumiere Elementary. And I'm also a your proud treasurer. And first of all, I want to, on behalf of Whittier School, thank all of the staff from Emerson Court, Carrera, and Kenilworth for stepping up to substitute for us so we can attend our students' Sheila and Morris funeral. We truly appreciate your support as a PSD community. I am also here on behalf of TechTech to ask our board to vote no on item 8, request approval of 2023-24 school year salary schedule. This salary schedule should first be brought to TechTech as a proposal through the meeting for process. We look forward to hearing the results of the compensation analysis. And please open the meet and confer process so we can provide input on salary schedules as PESD certified staff, sole bargaining agent.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nicole. May we please welcome Ms. Marnie Burris, please.
My shoe broke today.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Hi, good evening, everybody. How you guys? I actually also came here to talk about the meeting for process, but to mostly just share that on Sunday evening at, I want to say it was like 11:34 p.m. I did get those meeting for proposals into Dr. Diaz, which is maybe the first time I've ever been early with them, so that was really exciting. And I also just wanted to say that we really look forward to this process every year. You know, after coming up, I hope that I just started talking. I'm sorry. I'm Marty Burris, Sector President and proud Emerson teacher. But as the Sector President, I get to speak to every president every Wednesday in our state, and we are very fortunate as a local to have such a great relationship with our district and such a great relationship with our board. And also, I just wanted to share that when I first came on to Phoenix Elementary School, I'm just a sucker for work. And one of the things that was said in our onboarding was that we weren't here to see through each other, but to see each other through. So I just want to remind both the district team and the PECTA team as well that we are here to see each other through. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for being here. Are we missing any? I only had two. Okay. Okay. All right. May we please have the electronic ones as well? Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Law, and I was looking over board documents for this meeting and saw that someone at district was on a $14,000 raise. I would love to know the details of that, especially when that was posted on the same document as someone getting a 90 cents per hour raise, which feels like a lack of awareness and sensitivity. Not only are we just coming back from a break and struggling with inflation, but seeing someone get that large of a raise was a shock, along with the stuff the salary schedule on YouTube TV, showing a teacher minimum of about $43,500. We aren't even getting contracts until probably March or April. Meet and confer hasn't started yet, and we just got back from a 2.5-week break. Please consider putting more items on the agenda for meetings not right after break, so that all stakeholders may have ample time to review. That was from Rebecca. This is from Haley Holman. Dear Superintendent Hagida, President Trujillo, and members of the board. My name is Haley Holman. I teach drama at Herrera School for the Arts and Dual Language, and I am a proud member of PECTA. Today, I'm writing to you about proposed salary schedules in today's board agenda. I would encourage the board to engage in consultation with PECTA and ASPA as the recognized bargaining bodies of the district before approving any proposed salary schedules. Please consider sustainable pay solutions that account for inflation and allow for career advancement to retain high-quality staff. Do we know the timeline for the results of the compensation analysis to be shared? Will these findings be publicly presented? I am extremely grateful that our board values equity in research, research shows that increased transparency around compensation closes equity gaps between women, people of color, and other groups. In our district, we face the challenge that private grants were used to reward longevity and performance and retain teachers. This has led to instances where senior teachers have a lower base pay than newer teachers, and other funds like 301 loans are filling in the gaps. It is time for a sustainable compensation solution that is not a short-term mandate to recruit and retain high-quality staff for children and families, and for the children and families in our districts that they deserve. Thank you for your time and considering my views surrounding compensation decisions. This comes from April 10th. Dear Dr. Hagida, President Trujillo, and members of the board. My name is April Pettit, and I teach at Dunbar Elementary. Today, I am writing to you about the proposed salary schedules on today's agenda. I started in PBST in 2003. When I was hired in 2000, I was given a certified step salary schedule. Having the step salary schedule allowed me to know exactly what I would be making for the year. When the recession happened, the board froze the step salary schedule in order to have several pay cuts. Originally, when they froze the step salary schedule, district administration told us it was only temporary. It turns out that wasn't true. As part of PACT meet and confer, we proposed going back to step salary schedule for all certified educators. We were told that couldn't happen until comprehensive salary analysis took place. We have not received any sort of findings about the salary analysis required, but on the agenda today, the board is being asked to read another step with salary study. I would encourage the board to engage in consultation with PACT and ESPA as recognized bargaining bodies of the district before approving any proposed salary studies. Please consider your pay solutions that account for inflation and for career advancement to retain high quality staff. And that ends the community comments for this.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. May I ask you to repeat the name of the last one? I don't know why.
Daniel Pettit.
Okay, thank you so very much. Give me just a quick minute to finish my notes, please. Thank you very much. With that, we are going to move on to item E, the approval of our consent agenda. Dr. Hagegat, do you have any recommendations for our consent agenda this evening?
Yes, our recommendation is that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do we have a motion to approve our consent agenda as presented?
Jessica Bueno, so moved.
Do we have a second?
Just for clarification, we cannot ask a question about anything without rejecting it and then pulling.
Yeah,
Okay.
And I think we can open up discussion after we have our second on the motion.
The consent agenda is intended as a time saver. Ideally, there aren't questions, but you could always pull something from the consent agenda for separate discussion. That's the best way to do it. But if for expediency, if you want to ask a question now, there's nothing legal. That's it.
Okay. Yay.
So we can ask a question right now. Okay. So
Or pull something.
just, yeah, I don't think I need to pull it. I just want clarification because I think that the salary schedule situation, we did it like this last year too. And then meet and confer starts. Is that correct?
Dr. Diaz will come over, our Human Resources Director, to clarify.
Yes, I'm Dr. Bigman. Yeah, this is the first step of our process. It is simply the starting line. It is the baseline. It is the ground. And it's to start the negotiation process. In order to issue any contracts next year, there has to be a salary schedule in place. So if we're in a position to issue contracts to new recruits, we have some great parts we're going through in a couple of weeks. We need to have the salary schedule in place in order to issue those contracts. But due to the process, the budget process, the teams come participate in that, come back to the board approval, and that new salary schedule would override what that was previously. For example, the 22 increase the salary schedule, the board approved 3 different topics. We approved it in January 2, and then we approved the increase in June 2022, and then in September. So that's the process we take this.
And we don't change it now because the budget, the legislative budget has not changed yet. So that wouldn't be possible, right? Okay.
That's right. We haven't done the legislative process, the confer process. Those things have to happen. The only change that is on the salary tables Instead of saying 22, 23, they say 23.
Okay, but it does make sense. Like in my brain, if I were looking for a new position, I would rather you have already gone through this process and have your new salary schedule before you recruit me. But we can't do that because of the way that the budgets and funding works, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
Not approved, not have a salary schedule.
okay.
Or so we therefore could not issue a contract to do recruitment with that.
Okay,
Mr. Thomas looks like he's interested in giving us
Sorry,
a
was
little
that
bit
it?
more. Go ahead.
that was my quick question.
Good discussion. First of all, the contracts are written in such a way that the salary amounts can be adjusted on additional appropriation. Most districts I've worked on budget contracts over the last couple of months are moving faster on contracts this year because of the staff shortage issues. They're wanting to know what their staff looks like earlier so that they can plan for it. I will tell you, having watched the legislative process up close, whenever you have divided government as we do, almost every estimate is that this budget is going to be decided maybe on June 3rd. So it's going to take a long time, so we won't know exactly how much money we will have for them, but we will monitor it closely, and those contracts are written in such a way to adjust them up. Should there be additional money?
That's
Thank
all
you.
I had. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vink. I also shared my concerns with Dr. Hagigat, so I'm really glad that this question came up for further clarification, because we do support this compensation study that we're doing and moving forward and moving in a space that our employees and our students, everybody feels valued. So I really appreciate that. Did we get a second on this motion?
I had questions.
Okay.
So if we do pass the salary schedule, does PECTA still have opportunity through meet and confer to change per their feedback? Change what this salary schedule looks like going forward?
Absolutely. Moving for process, the changes. We're also going to be structuring this. The cement on this is not dry at all. Rather, it's simply kickstarting process for us to do those negotiations. So it's possible, again, if we prefer that, as you've seen in previous years, we would come back and say we want to increase the salary schedules by the amount that's agreed to the process. It's also possible to come back with different salary structures, where maybe there's categories that we have to, or new stipends that we as part of the stipend approval that will come later. So there'll be ample opportunities for our associations to negotiate with good faith with leadership in order to reach the best place that we can.
And do we know when when we plan to focus on discussing the compensation study in a study session or in public meeting?
Yeah, Mr. Carter, we're getting more clarity on that over the next, as everybody's come back from their break. We have board systems for this week, and then members of JV board system will be on site next week. We're looking forward to those focus groups that Dr. Hagigat mentioned. At that time, we'll have a much better sense of where they are in terms of being able to present to the board in the public session. And the conversations that we've had, it's our intention to make sure that happens together in partnership. So that as early as possible into the spring, our staff have the best picture of what compensation is going to look like for next year.
Thank you.
So can I second it now, or how does that? We can just, okay. Alicia Vink, I second motion.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Again, thank you both for the great questions. May we please have a roll call vote, Ms. Kim?
Ms. Bueno,
Aye.
Mr. Carino,
Aye.
Dr. Beatty,
Aye.
Ms. Rubio.
Aye. With that, our consent agenda is approved and we will move on to item F1, to discuss our student outcomes, focus governance, superintendent guardrails, board guardrails, and our board goals. Do we have that draft able to be
We
posted up there?
do. We have a really awesome way to do it. We've captured the draft in our Google Doc, and we have Ms. Sinclair able to capture some of the discussion that happens here so that anything that needs to be modified, added, or retracted, we're able to do so. Now, what I need to know is if it's big enough for everyone there so that we can make sure you have the right resources.
I can see it. Hopefully, everyone else can. So with that, we will start with our board goals, and this information all came about. We had a work study session December 21st last month to look at data alongside our administration and really understand where our district was. And so that's where these goals are focused, and we would love to get the thoughts and edits from the board to make sure that this is what we all want going forward through this work. This information, we are not voting on anything tonight. We are literally taking thoughts and edits into these items because our responsibility as a board will be to take this information to the community to make sure they are in support of these same things, and be able to explain why we're at this point, and why we need them to also be concerned and on board with our student success, because this is a change, a new type of framework, our model that we are working from. So this is part of that process. And I will read off the first ones, and I would love to hear any conversation and edits and recommendations that we can further discuss. Goal number 1 is focused on early childhood literacy. The goal that through the percent of third grade students with a pass rate on reading as per the AASA, which is our standardized test, I believe, will increase from 28% on August 2023 to 52% by August 2027.
I want to we started this work last year, 2022, and we came up with these goals that led to us coming up with these goals, or just brainstorming these goals in December. We had a work study session on the 21st, I believe. But since then, I have been processing just what they're based off. And what I've come to is just relying on the expertise of Dr. Gonzalez and Dr. Hagiga is, should we be relying on a state assessment that is new, and that frequently changes, and to that point, it's whether we should be lining our goals with the internal iReady system that we use, because that is more continuous. That is continuous feedback that still aligns with the state assessment, that gives us a good prediction of how our students are going to do, but provides us data that we can continuously analyze, look at, and so that's just what I come back to. Should we be using our own? Is it better to use our internal iReady system compared to this one, which we don't know if it's going to be around 5 years from now?
Board Member Carrillo and Board President Trujillo, that's an excellent question. And we actually have an option in terms of the way that we want to look at the data. It depends on what we want to measure. So the state assessment allows us to have an historical look at how our district has performed, and it allows us to compare ourselves to other districts. iReady, as we showed you earlier this year, shows us a good approximation of how we will perform on the state assessment. But to your point, Board Member Carrillo, it does also allow us to do more of an in-depth analysis in the moment of where our students are. So when we think about different types of assessments, the state assessment is a summative assessment of the year and of our progress on meeting the state standards. That means It's at the end of that course of study that we're measuring, did our students learn everything that they needed compared to the other students in the state at that grade level? Our formative assessments are more like what we get when we use our iReady assessments. That helps us to see what students know currently and then allows us to do different interventions, different enrichments, and different ways to make sure that we're bringing our students to the level of learning that we all expect them to be at so that we can hit the targets.
So we have an option. We're able to either do the AASA or we can do the iReady. It's how we track here formally. For us as administrators, we have the opportunity to see both and see the comparison. So here you have a choice, one that you can't go wrong with if you go one direction or the other.
And I raise this question because the bigger picture is in, for us to focus on how we're doing compared to other district. That's part of it, but just really are students reading on grade level like they should, and are they going to improve in the way that we want them to improve by 2023 in reading, math, in reading and math. And so that's my bigger focus. And so if iReady can offer that, I would prefer to go with the iReady assessment.
The iReady assessments can show us how our students are doing in terms of the reading. We have a variety of different measures that we're also using. For instance, in your board update this week, you're going to see that 25% of our kindergarten students have already shown that they are they're meeting their grade level goals for reading compared to just 10% at the beginning of the year. So we have assessments that we're able to use to give you that data on an ongoing basis. So what we're hoping to do is that when we do our quarterly reports on the goals that we're meeting, we will not only be able to tell you how we're doing on this end result goal, we'll be able to show you the progress we're making along the way using iReady, using AIMSweb Plus, and other assessments that we use to measure that on track for reading, as well as on track for math and the other indicators that you've requested.
Mr. Carrillo, I think that when we talked about it with Dr. Ramos, we did talk about iReady being like what the progress monitoring and then ASA being the cumulative. I'm wondering though, if it's just a matter of language, whether, do we have to name the state standardized test, or can we just say as per state assessment?
With a SMART goal, just like we have right here, we do want to have a specific measurement so that we are able to keep ourselves on track. But what you stated is very true. We have the progress monitoring that will be taking place. And that's why I say with high level of confidence, whether we do our state assessment, and I hear your concern about, we are really tied to what our state is bringing us. And so if they choose to change it tomorrow, I'm just making this up, then we no longer have that historical piece to it where we do with iReady. But if they keep it consistent, then we do continue to have that piece, but we're not in control of that. The state is the one that will do that and have that for us. With iReady, we can continue our journey and have that year to year. But again, either way, we find ourselves being able to provide that progress monitoring and that proficiency and that growth using the different assessment that Dr. Gonzalez was speaking to.
I think we did discuss too, like the state data or the state test changing too, when we looked at the data, and Dr. Gonzalez had said the name changed, but the test itself had not changed significantly. Is that correct? Okay, so I guess what I was looking at was semantics. The state assessment is the state assessment. So that is a specific measurement, just not the specific name.
That is true. However, the state may, go out to bid for another assessment tool. And in that case, it could change drastically. So we just don't know from year to year. And in that event, if the state did change drastically, we then would have to look at our formative assessments to make sure that those are assessments that are aligned to the state assessment. So we could very well be changing our formative assessments if that were to pass. We want to make sure that what we're using to measure progress is aligned to what the state uses so that we're providing the correct interventions.
The suggestion though for Dr. Ramos is to not change this at all, but I believe in the event of some sort of catastrophic like change to whatever, we could go back and update, correct? Okay, okay.
I'm at a standstill if it seems like it's not too perceptible whether we go one way or the other. Yeah, okay. My other point of discussion I want to bring up is if we should change one of these goals to align more with our goal being more of a community institution that serves the community. We just opened up our Family Empowerment Center. And so for me as an educator, I know that we are told that we have these messianic powers to impact the lives of our children, but we also have to contend with there's ACEs and traumas and stuff happening out in our child's life in the community. And if we begin to offer support and resources, wraparound services to our community, and make that one of our goal, I'm interested in hearing more research and from experts who can kind of inform us about the impact of providing those services in the community in progressing the success of student achievement in the classroom. So while all these are for the state assessment, I'm wondering if maybe we can combine 1 and 2 since for math and literacy, since those are the same, and then add one for ensuring that we're working to provide those services for our community.
Board Member Carrillo, the idea of looking at our community inputs is critically important, but it is an input, it's not the output. And so all of those issues that we've brought forward with our Family Empowerment Center, with our attention to attendance, with our attention to our EL services, those are all inputs that help us to achieve these outputs or outcomes that we've identified as the goals. So I don't know that you would necessarily want to set a goal around the community wraparound services, since that is an input. But what I think you're asking for, and you can correct me if I'm misunderstanding, what I think you're asking for is more opportunity through our board meetings to learn about the ways in which the community wraparound services are leading to these kinds of outputs.
Yes, thank you.
Agreed. Thank you both for the explanations, and the community concern, I think, might fall under our guardrails area, which will be right after we discuss board goals. If you had a chance to review those, maybe to see if that I guess might cover the concern, but I do completely agree that we do need to know our community and how we are supporting them, because we do know that involvement and engagement and those relationships really are key to our kids' success. So I completely agree, and I'm still learning the verbiage and the vocabulary of the inputs and outputs. And so that makes perfect sense as to why we put these goals here, and then what our guardrails look like in sequence to getting past this point. So Ms. Buenos had to really pull my head out of the clouds a couple of times, just doing this exact same thing of, I guess, changing that, like, not even my direction or focus, but again, focusing on the outputs and not being distracted by the inputs, because that will work itself out in this framework, because that's what it was created to do. And I think we're just not used to it yet.
Can you direct me in where in the guardrails that would be relevant to the community resources? And I bring it because just as a teacher in the classroom, the whole student achievement outcome is very much a whole, like, ensuring that we're not teaching to the test, ensuring that we're not putting the pressure of our teachers to teach to a test, or when it comes to performance pay, it's the way it's influenced our education system a lot of, like, this is the test, pass it, teach to the test. And so I want to make sure that we're not prioritizing that. And the pressure that puts on our teachers.
Mr. Creel, I feel that, and I worried about that when we were drafting these goals. My kind of, I guess, mitigation for that feeling was when we went into the percentages that we were going to grow by, we were very careful I was hesitant to stretch too much, as to not put as much pressure on teachers. At least that's how my brain went through that process. And Dr. Gonzalez talked to us a little bit about, and just for the community watching, what the average percentages of growth we could normally expect would be, and then what a stretch would be. And that's how we kind of landed on those numbers, so that it wouldn't be overly put pressure on teachers.
Thank you, Dr. Vink. Okay, I'd be interested, again, we're not approving anything tonight, right? I'd be interested in hearing from our staff, especially those in the classroom, about the viability of meeting these goals. I know I've been at districts where it's like move to 80% in 1 year. I'm like, no. But so thank you. And I know we relied a lot on our expertise, our trusted expertise here, Dr. Gonzalez, to just lead us through this. So with that going forward, I do feel comfortable with that. And I see where we do focus on community resources can be in guardrail, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, but guardrail number 5. That's what superintendent, that's what I'm looking at. Yeah.
Mr. Carrillo, but I think the point that you're bringing up is also very important. And I think if we wanted to go about collecting the data on maybe like our ACE data from our students, because I think what we're trying to do here is we're adjusting our board goals on data. So we're saying this is our baseline, and we're going to improve in a couple of years. So I think in order for us to discuss a community goal, we need to have some type of baseline and data information. So maybe we can work on that while we're also working on the goals, is collecting some data where we can have a baseline.
Agreed. Thank you, Vice President Bueno. And along with that, it's just, again, if we know any experts who actually are able to speak to that impact, providing those services and supports in the community, then I would love to hear from them too.
Wonderful. I do think that guardrail 5 on both for the board and for the superintendent. Again, this all came from our work study session on 12/21 that these notes are coming from. So I really have kicked this around in my head too. So I'm still getting used to it. But yes, to reiterate, we are not approving anything. No decisions. It's literally, we just want to have this discussion within our limits of the open meeting law. So I'm not able to have multiple different discussions with each board member on this. So that's why we had to bring it here. But this is literally, this document comes from our discussion that we had. And I'm glad to kind of relive what that is and process getting more comfortable through this. So I'm glad you asked the question.
Thank you, President Trujillo. I'd be comfortable with superintendent. Are we on Superintendent Garros? I know we just started talking about it, but okay, I'll pause.
So to clarify, yes, we'll get to those, I promise. Are we keeping it the same as the AASA? Or revising it?
So I brought it forward, seeing as it sounds like it's an imperceptible change, I would be fine sticking with it as it is.
And then like if it comes about after we do our community sessions that, you know, something changes, then that'll be addressed at that point.
Yeah, and
That's
the
what
quick
I'm
question, the power over authority of who develops the state assessment, who changes it, lies in what department? Or what state leader?
It's an adoption process. So the State Board of Education gives
Okay.
direction to the Arizona Department of Education in terms of
Okay.
when it has to be adopted. And then there's a process, just like a curriculum adoption, that a district would go through to identify what are the components that have to be present, and it goes through that process.
Okay,
But
that
it's through the
sounds way
State
more
Board of
comforting
Education.
than the leader of the AD. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm fine with, thank you for having this discussion.
All right, we'll move on to number 2. And hopefully this will get a little more fluid as we go. So I know you did propose that we join both of these, but there was a reason why we kept them separate, I believe. So are we okay with the percent of third grade students with a pass rate of, on mathematics as per the AASA will increase from 28% on August 2023 to 52% on by August 2027. I don't have any edits for this one. Is this one okay to move forward with? Okay, goal number 3 is focused on our English learners. The percent of English learners demonstrating proficiency as measured by Azella will increase from 30% on July 2023 to 70% by July 2027. I like that one. All right, moving forward, goal number 4 is focused on our students in the middle years literacy. The percent of 8th grade students with a pass rate on ELA as per the AASA will increase from 26% on August 2023 to 49% by August 2027. No, it is. Oh, I'm sorry. To 49% by August 2027. Did I read the wrong one?
Yeah.
Everybody's okay with those ones? All right. And then lastly, our math, the percent of 8th grade students with a pass rate on mathematics as per the AASA will increase from 15% on August 2023 to 45% by August 2027.
I just want to add, again, we're not adopting or approving these. And I know I said teachers, but I'm also from all staff, especially from our school leadership, our principals too, hearing feedback from them too.
I'd like to add to the discussion that when we share these, we wanted them to come here first, of course. And then when we share the draft, our intent for Dr. Gonzalez and myself is to also show the progression because we were able to discuss it as part of the study session. And we were talking about the 5% or 7%. And we want to be able to share that with our leaders so that we can have those discussions as well, so that there's clarity to what we're doing.
We're able to move forward. Wonderful. Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to our board guardrails. And these are items that we will adhere to as board members. Again, to support this work and really stay focused on our student outcomes and not let ourselves be distracted by other things that take away from our commitment to this work. So with that, all of these items are prefaced with this sentence: the board, either collectively or through the actions of individual board members, shall not, number one, direct or appear to direct staff on day-to-day operations. I'm just going to actually read them all and then request feedback and thoughts on them. Oh, absolutely. The board, either collectively or through the actions of individual board members, shall not I should just pass this over there because it's on there. Just so that way, you, in case I, missed a word or didn't enunciate properly, it's right there. So I'll go through these. Direct or appear to direct staff on day-to-day operations. Number two, during regularly scheduled board meetings, we will not spend less than 50% of its time progress monitoring the board's student outcome goals and or superintendent guardrails. Number three, we will not deviate from the board's operating procedures, which is an item that we will be building in this framework. So it's not set in stone right now, but we will have one by the time we are done with this work.
President Trujillo, you mean the item is the operating procedures is what we would develop? Okay,
For our board, yes.
Okay, thank you.
We get to create that, what it looks like.
thank you, because I was like, question mark, what are our operating procedures?
We don't have any.
It's on, like, remember we were doing those colored goals when we were assessing ourselves on how many points and where we'll be at. Those are some of the items that are going to help us gain our points for this work. Since we're all at zeros right now, which we're totally okay with. But competitive wise, we're going to get that on the radar here, but our community sessions are the most current focus. So I'll continue. Number four, the board will not negate newly elected board members from experiencing a quality onboarding process. And number five, the board will not focus on inputs and outputs at the expense of student outcomes. Do we have
President
any
Trujillo,
thoughts and edits?
for onboarding process, that's another item that we're going to develop. Okay,
As a
thank you.
group, as a
Yeah.
team?
I know we've kind of developed one just organically
Yeah.
through our being our freshman board members, but okay, thank you.
Exactly. So that's what we're basing it. So that way, board members now won't have to operate without having, a baseline of what to expect or what is expected in this district from our board. Any thoughts and edits on this section? I don't have any either because I got to see this early on. So if I'm quiet, or I'm gonna stay quiet now because I'm hoping Ms. Bueno will take over
Just to speak to number four, I'm excited about number four because I am someone who got elected, not really knowing really what to do. Yeah, I did my research and came on with the teacher's perspective, but it was very helpful to have a supportive district. Nothing was onboarding, nothing official, no official onboarding process was written for us, but in terms of like the professional development that we too felt like we needed, I'm thankful for the district for providing those opportunities and supporting us in accessing those opportunities. And for instance, which should have been on the board report, or it should have reported, is like attending the NSBA equity conference this month, so that we can continue to censor equity and understand what that means and what other districts are doing, is something, those conferences, those PD opportunities are something that will most likely be a part of this onboarding process that is soon to be developed.
So we'll move on to our superintendent guardrails. So in attaining the board's student outcome goals, the superintendent shall not allow the district to operate without a reciprocal and effective communication between the board, district employees, and community stakeholders, as well as a human organizational customer service plan to foster trust and collaboration. Number 2, the district to operate with, the superintendent shall not allow the district to operate without a system designed to recruit, employ, and retain diverse staff who reflect the community and meet the needs of our urban district students and their learning environments. Number 3, the superintendent shall not allow the district to operate without a site budget process where resources are allocated equitably. Number 4, the superintendent shall not allow underperforming campuses to have principals or teachers who rank in the bottom 2 quartiles of principal or teacher school system-wide performance. Number 5, the superintendent shall not allow the district to operate without implementing a community-focused plan to mitigate student enrollment barriers.
I think for number 5 is where we have an opportunity to align that with ensuring that we're providing those resources, which we've already started with our Family Empowerment Center, but kind of like setting those metrics. I would just add and offer your feedback to where it says student enrollment barriers, student enrollment and learning barriers. It's a small change, but I feel like we can address those barriers in the community.
I think this guardrail is supposed to be focused on enrollment. So it can't be also the learning environment that you suggested. I think maybe.
I think we're seeing it again as that input. We will have those
Oh,
wraparound services. We'll see. And so I think that from the 5 goals that will allow us as part of our input, that's how we're going to bring success, because we're not going to do it just by demanding proficiency from our kids. We have to get behind what it is that are some of the barriers for our kids. While here it's specific to enrollment for us, we understand that it'll be a part of us being able to achieve goals 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as part of an input.
Okay, I'm understanding better. The input output will fall under our 5 board goals. And so when we do continue our board meetings, and we do talk about this 50%, this 50% guardrail, we should be talking about items such as like the Empowerment Center and those resources.
Yes,
Okay.
and how they're impacting our goals and how we're moving forward with that. So for us, it's more than just our academic piece. It's how are we providing that support for our students so that they can succeed and so that we can see these impacts and the goals.
Okay, thank you.
Can you remind me how, because I think when we left these from our study session, they were pretty rough and there was like wordsmithing. Did Cinto do most of the wordsmithing? Did it end up like going back and forth to the 2 of you? Because these are like thicker than we just had like an outline. So I'm just wondering kind of how this fleshed out to this.
So Jessica's notes were really visually, she took them off of those big Post-its that we had up, and so they all hit certain areas that we chose, like enrollment, HR,
Right.
customer service, marketing, and I can't remember the other one, but that's
Communications.
Enrollment.
that's what those are based on. That's where all these came from
Okay.
for both sections. So they hit all those things that we all we're asking to be guardrails.
Okay, and then the three of you expanded the
Mhm.
language?
Yes.
Okay. And then remind me, so we're discussing the draft
Mhm.
and then, because he kept talking about at some point, we vote on, Dr. Huggy does something to do with this, and then we vote on that, yes or no. What does that have to do? Like, do you remember,
I think we're creating the draft, so when we go out to the community and explain like why we're focusing on this type of governance work, and here's the goals, and this is how we're going to move forward. After we get the okay from the community and understanding of this is how we're going to govern, then we approve
Okay.
the goals.
so the next piece is to go out to the community with this, revise it again, potentially, and then come back
adopt
and
it.
and vote, maybe. Okay, then I am fine with everything as is for now, knowing I haven't had a lot of time to sync all of these. There's a lot of words in this. I think it's hefty. But I'm okay with sitting with it for
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
Can I bring a thought to number one? I'm seeing two different interests there. One is around the communication piece and one is around the customer service. I'm wondering if those would be two goals that could be placed in. I know we want to keep it at 5. And so I just think we have the opportunity there to bring updates on two different things, but I do see them as two goals linked with an as well. And so I wanted to see if we could have a little bit of discussion for that. We want to do a really nice job providing the progress monitoring piece. So I'm seeing a communication goal with that effectiveness of one-way and two-way communication. And I'm seeing I call it customer care plan, which was also part of our topics. So just wanted to bring that up if we could discuss that.
That's actually how we were having a discussion about it, but since we committed to keeping it at 5, that's why we joined them, because they are very related. They are very related. If we are being mindful about our customer service to serving our community, that definitely is related to how we reach out and connect to them and make them feel welcome and communicate with them about student success. So that was tough to decide where to put it. But yes, we are limited to 5. So again, open for discussion and thoughts on it. How we may want to revise.
Does the customer service directly tie in? Well, and again, I think the conversation got a little complicated when we were discussing this at the study session. So remind me, but does the customer service tie in to enrollment? Is that like, I guess what is the outcome that you're looking for? And could it just be a part of something else? Or even the system to recruit, employ, and retain, well, I mean, staff. Yeah, I mean, customer service, I'm thinking enrollment, right? The customer service, fostering trust and collaboration. The purpose of that is to
It's
increase enrollment.
well, we had originally in more parsimonious terms had laid out is just communication, enhanced communication, enhance internal human leadership development, staff satisfaction and PD, enrollment absences and resource allocation. So I just offer that if it helps any guide our discussion here. And maybe omitting separating those number 1 into 2 goals and omitting another goal, or understanding another goal more. I would want to understand number 4 more.
Were you just listing our original 5? Is that what?
Yeah, because you had
Can you
talked
say it
about
again for me?
enhanced communication, We had listed focus on enhancing internal human leadership development, staff satisfaction and PD. And then we had listed enrollment/absences. And then last one was resource allocation. And I'm thinking number 4 would probably fall under resource allocation or number 3, but if anyone disagrees with that, let me know,
We
please.
did talk about like how budget is like weaved into all of the things and whether or not that should. But I know you were pretty,
Well, that's why,
Yeah.
in this language, I specifically said site budget
oh,
because it is
okay.
for the schools and not
Okay.
necessarily the overall budget, because we
Okay.
legally need to adopt the budget and operate the budget legally, but like we still have the ability to dictate what the site budgets are.
I see what you did there. I
Mhm.
like it. I get it now.
Again, it was a lot of condensing, so really whatever your thoughts are on how we can make this reasonable, accommodating, but very tight to keep us all really, really focused. I'm definitely open to it. I like both of the ideas.
Can we take it to the community like this and then come back and?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with that too. I don't,
Yeah, and then maybe.
But I think what Dr. Hagigat was trying to make the point is that number 1 looks like 2 goals.
yes, yeah. I mean, take it like this where they separated them. Now, so now.
Well,
it's
that's
six.
the original, like our original 6, yeah.
Yeah, and I also wanted
Oh.
to bring back with Dr. Ramos, he offered that number 5 was the budget is an input. I fully understand why it's there right now, just based on circumstances. We don't need to get into details. But as you know, we continue to work through it, that should fully be an invisible part of what we do, and our focus is in academics. But right now, it's something that we're continuing to enhance. And so that's why it's where it is. And so maybe if we look at it as an input, that could give you the 5 superintendent guardrails that are really going to work for us long term. And this number 4, it's more of circumstantial, to be quite frank. It could be a short-term interest. But again, it's things that we've agreed to as part of our study session and things that I see as very top priority as well.
Dr. Hagigat, you listed you said number 5, but you meant number 4.
I meant number 4, which
Okay.
is the budget part. He
Okay.
described it to us as an input.
I would
Mhm.
be okay with looking at removing number 5. If we had a little bit, Dr. Gonzalez brought up a point about evaluation systems and whether or not they're super valid. And I guess I have a question of not only about the validity of the evaluation system, but also where we're at in education right now. We kind of just need to have our schools staffed. So yeah, just more conversation from leadership as to whether that goal will really serve us, I guess.
Yeah, I would, what I had originally proposed is split 1 and then omit 4,
Oh,
going forward. Or, I'm sorry, 5.
omit 5.
Yeah, it's because I'm looking at different documents and the number different.
Okay. And for the
Agree with you,
same
what you said.
reasons, okay. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes sense in a perfect world, but it might not make sense in our current world. Does anyone have?
Agreed.
Okay, yes, okay.
Yes, and I think with a stronger evaluation system, this is something that we can collaborate tightly with our administration so that we are able to get to a place where this is a collaborative approach instead of it could feel like a threatening piece, because that's proposing changes. And we're saying if you are a principal in the bottom 2 quartiles, as a principal was heading schools for 18 years, I would say that's fantastic. Tell me the tool that you're using to make sure that I'm not at the bottom 2. And what if we get to a point where the bottom 2 quartiles, it's really high performing. We just happen to be in a different space altogether as our district. So that could bring more of a fear element than what we're looking for here as part of collaborative practices. So I can see us growing into something like that with the adequate tool and the adequate professional development and opportunity to collaborate for our principals. In addition, I wanted to add, as we're looking at our area where it's, again, the budget, we're going to be able to later review these again and see where are we as a district. This is a starting point. We're also adding with our goals, what I call second order change, because right now our tool is around systems and how we deliver around the systems. We're changing this into academic performance, and we're talking that the superintendent will, which is fantastic, but the superintendent doesn't get an opportunity to be at the sites on a daily basis or with teachers, to the points that were already brought by the board. And so we need to, again, approach this through a lens of growth and how we're supporting that growth, rather than through a lens of, oh no, what's going to happen to me? Because our teachers, to me, are very valuable, just like they are to every board member and every administrator here. And so we want to make sure that it's a part of a process, not something that becomes, now my sole evaluation is around academic achievement, which it is what we do, but there's a lot that is wrapped around that.
So do we strike 5 for potential deletion?
I support that. 5 on here. Yeah.
Yes, 5 on the current screen. And then question about staffing. I think at some point I either said aloud or in my head that I wanted there to be a guardrail around like adequately staffing our sites. I think that number 3 is hoping to achieve that, but I'm a little worried that it's not explicit enough.
I see those as 2 separate interests. One is to recruit and retain. We're looking at diversifying our workforce that they represent, the students that we serve and their families. And so I see that as 2 different interests. Like it would be another goal.
So is number 3 then not about staffing as a whole? It's really specific to the diversity of our staff? Is that what I'm understanding? Okay.
Yeah, it was more so the guardrail was around hiring.
Okay. And I want diverse staff. I absolutely do. But also we're in a time where we need staff. We're just adequately staffing our schools is a struggle. So I don't know how to.
I don't think that it's a hindrance to still meeting that goal. I think that we can still accomplish it with this goal in place, especially if one of our board goals is to support EL students. I think it makes it more imperative that we focus on this.
But is that goal is about the system? Okay, I mean, we can, the system design, not necessarily do our students have a teacher in their classroom, or are they being taught by rotating subs or the office assistants, which has literally been a concern in the last couple of years. So I don't know. The system is great, but the system, like a system without staff
well, the system is to get the staff.
Right.
So I think, no, I think you're bringing up really good points, but I feel like that's already something that this administration's already working towards. So us being more specific on saying like, this is how we want you to go about recruiting and hiring is different than their goal of adequately staffing the sites.
Right. Yeah, no, I understand how they're different and how they're both needed. I know that we're working towards it, and maybe again, this year was just a fluke, but there were, from my perception, many classrooms, well, and not even from our perception, we moved a school.
Yeah.
So without teachers, and that terrifies me to see that happen.
Yeah, and for
continually.
us, the goal is to have highly qualified, appropriately certified teachers in every single classroom. That does not change regardless of what we have here. And so it was definitely something that was circumstantial, and it's something that we have as a priority as to how do we get as early as now, and hence the consent agenda of contracts. We want to be out there right away recruiting. And we also encourage our staff that if they have other plans and life is taking them in a different direction, to let us know right away so that we can get our students the highest qualified people. Sometimes we are left midsummer with a resignation. And so then we scramble. That's a reality for us and many other districts. But I think as we build a stronger culture of really believing here in our kids, and we're here for their success and making sure that they're going to move forward, then we get that internal interest of life may be taking me somewhere else. And so I'm going to need to let my supervisor know. Therefore, I can open that and we can have the opportunity to hire high quality individuals for our students. So for us, that's a goal. It's something that's always in the forefront. Without those highly effective teachers, we're not able to accomplish 1 through 5. It's just that simple.
And that's another reason we included the words design and learning environments, because yeah, it's not literally just about diverse staff. It's making sure we're looking at the problem as a whole. Because each of our sites are so very different. And so making sure that we are mindful of that is where the extra piece came from. So I hope that helps that this concern is definitely a part of this guardrail.
Well, but I thought that we just said that it's not, because this is about the system and recruiting diverse staff, not necessarily staffing it's a system. The goal is to have a system, not necessarily to staff. Right?
Absolutely. I'm just saying that's why I even thought of the words and their learning environments, because I didn't even want to have the possibility that one is different than the other, or we weren't, I guess, not dismissive of one or the other, but that it is top of all of our minds that we do need a system that values all of our educators, and that system brings in quality people that will come and stick around and be there for our kids.
I think it would be helpful for my brain to see when do we figure out like how do we measure whether these guardrails are like, did Cinto explain that? Like, so we have these guardrails, but how are we going to know that the guardrails are not, that our superintendent's not in between the guardrails? Like that, I guess that's what I'm looking for, because if this wording if there's not a measurable that also attaches to the staff that's actually in our classroom versus like the diversity, or what are the measurables, or is it a measurable, or how do we decide that these guardrails are working? I
So
don't
the way
remember.
Cinto explained it to us is that we develop this, we take it to the community. Now that we have come up with this part, Dr. Hagigat and her team is able to go back and say, what measurables will that all
Okay.
encompass?
Okay,
And then she brings it to us, and then we say, yeah, that totally is exactly what we were talking about, what we think, or
Okay.
no, that's absolutely not what we were talking about. Please go back to the drawing board kind of thing.
okay,
So once we have this draft taken to the community and we are going to vote on something, by that point, we'll already have in this framework, we'll have already had an opportunity to work with Dr. Hagigat and their team to know what those measurables are. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
yes, then
'Cause
I
think-
can handle the draft until I see the measurables.
Okay.
I need to see if they match.
Yeah, and they go hand in hand. You're absolutely right. Again, we're still all getting used to this framework, and I'm just anticipating what we look like next year, but I'm glad that we all get to kind of verbalize through this process together, because it is daunting at times, but you're right on track. And I'm glad the framework keeps pulling us back into what we all agreed to. So
I'm like, Cinto, we don't fit in this box.
agreed. Well, I hope I explained that correctly. Is that, because that is literally what he said, because when I have not dumb questions, but like silly ones, he'll bring me back in, just like you guys
Yeah.
keep like, that's an input, that's an output,
Yeah.
Is that an owner decision? Is that not? So
Right.
it's like a constant process, but that is how he explained it to me. So I hope that makes sense.
No, I do. I mean, I do remember that. I'm just having a hard time processing these without the other piece that doesn't like fit in my brain. Like they should, in my brain, be laid out together. And they will be. But I need them. Like
We could
now.
try to call him if you
No,
want.
it's fine. No, you're right. That's what he said. It just is not how I want.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yes.
We're gonna move
How
on.
funny.
I'm ready to. Okay. Anybody else?
So we're good to go on these. So take to the community. And do you have the sentence that goes before these, Ms. Kim?
I think it's.
Or over here? Sorry. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. I couldn't see it, but I didn't pay attention either. I think we are, yes?
Yeah, I'm good. Oh, eliminating number 5.
Yeah.
Awesome. And is number 4 staying?
Can we see?
Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
Now.
Got all 5 of you in there.
Right? Party. Okay, cool. I was nervous. We did great, guys. Thanks, everyone. Yeah. We don't have any action items, so
Go to H1.
H1, here we go. Any board requests, team? I'm gonna wait. I'm going to bring mine up at the next meeting because I really want to focus on this right now. So hearing none, any future agenda items?
Just to reiterate, don't know if this is gonna be an agenda item or if we're gonna probably place it on a study session, is when we're ready to discuss the compensation study, that again, we do so as soon as possible, and discuss how that can impact or will impact the salary schedule.
Yeah, we're anticipating for an executive session. Dr. Diaz, as early as potentially January 24th. So it's coming super soon. We're excited about it, but we want to make sure. Yeah, no, we're wanting to make sure. And again, if all goes as planned, then we're looking for the January 24th. If not, we'll let you know how that changes, but it'll be an executive session. Typically those happen right before our board meeting, but it's something, do you put it right in the middle? Okay, and so we'll discuss, if we want to give it any more room based on the agenda items, we'll have a discussion around the schedule, but that's our hope.
And one last thing, not a request, but just an acknowledgement of our recent hiree. Have we done that already? I know I was out for a while. And then also not a bonus, but a promotion to a new title, a new position that will impact our district differently than position they had previously.
Yes, and we have both of our newest, because it was new for Ms. Valencia. Now she's no longer the newest. Now we have another newer. I'd like to introduce Mr. Michael Manley as our CFO. So let's give him some love. And Dr. Alshire, who has earned the role and title of Director of Principal and Leader Effectiveness. Congratulations to you both.
Awesome. Ah, goodness. Okay, I already have two things on my mind. So future agenda items, I do want to just say out loud that we are booked for board meetings through June. And then at the end of the school year, I think maybe we could finalize those meetings with how things are going with our budget, district, guardrails, goals, and things like that to accommodate work study sessions and things of that nature. I know we've done it earlier in the year before sometimes, but I'm glad we have the flexibility, I think, at this point. I hope that's okay. And then I know we appointed Dr. Alshire to be something that we have to probably get someone else to do, or he stays it. I'm not too sure. I don't remember. Title IX, I think.
We are working on
Title
a
I, okay.
transition with a lot of his responsibilities from his role of student success coordinator. But
Perfect.
we are currently, as he interviewed and got selected for the director role, we are now engaged in the hiring process to make sure that we get also high quality for
Okay.
that student success
Perfect.
coordinator.
So that person will likely take over that thing. Okay.
Yeah,
That was
whomever we hire, we're right now in the process. Did I say it all? Okay. And that's from your HR director, everyone.
I love it. Okay, those are the only items I've got. If there's not any further discussion, do we have a motion to adjourn this evening?
Jessica Bueno, so moved.
Reggie Carrillo, second.
May we please have a roll call vote, Miss Kim? Yeah, take your time, take your time.
Aye.
Mr. Carrillo,
Aye.
Ms. Trujillo,
Aye.
Dr. Bain.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. With that, our motion passes and we will adjourn at 7:13 p.m. Our next board meeting is scheduled for January 24th, 2023 at 5:15. And I hope our board meeting will be, our board room will be completed by then. And that's where we will post up. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Those who stayed with us, welcome to our new CFO. Thank you to Mr. Thomas for being here and jumping in when we needed you. I super appreciate it.